We're holding here in Siman Sadi, Sif Beis. Last year we read through the Mechaber. This year we're going to focus on the Rama. But just to read it over, Mechaber says in Sif Beis, Noagu shaloi levashlo in basar kachal. We have a minhag not to cook udders with any meat at all. Levashlo beloy basar, and to cook it by itself. Betigun or bepashtida, matzrichin kriya, shesi ve'erev v'ticha b'kaitzel. You require tearing it, shesi erev, and crushing it against the wall. Ulitzli, and if you want to roast it, kriya shesi ve'erev, you require a ripping of shesi ve'erev. So now we go to the sheet of the Ramah. Zok the Ramah is now going on really the whole last two dinim. He has his own opinion. V'yim avar, says the Ramah, if you go ahead, ubishloi, and you cook it. If you go ahead and you cook it, you go ahead and cook the kachal. Im koru shesi ve'erev, if you tore it, shesi ve'erev v'tochu b'kaisel, and you stuck it into, and you crushed it against the wall, yesh lahater b'diavad, you could be mater. Now, what does this mean, just so I understand? According to the case the Ramah is talking about is, if you went ahead and you cooked this kachal with other meat, that's the way the Shach explains the case. Other meat, says the Ramah. If you went ahead and did it, and you made sure that you tore it, shesi ve'erev, and you crushed it against the wall, Zok the Ramah, yesh lahata b'diavad, you could permit it b'diavad in a, if already done situation, b'makayim hafsid meruba, only in a place of great loss. Aval b'lav hachi, but if not for this, ein lahater. Says the Ramah, if it's not in a situation of great loss, you cannot be mater. Bepashtos, the yesod here is that we are chayshish for the shita of the Rabbi and the Or Zarua that hold that cooking the kachal with other meat, kriya shesi ve'erev ticha b'kaisel, doesn't work. We are chayshish for that shita. That is what the Ramah seems to hold. We are chayshish for the Rabbi that says it doesn't help. Doesn't help. Kriya, shasir, takukaz doesn't help. Okay, if it's a hefsed meruba, then we could be mekel. But if not for that, no. So let's see on this, the Shach. Says the Shach, Sif Koton Ches. Yesh, by the way, just the Taz over here, Sivkon Hey, V'Maru Bishlu Pirish Im Basar, okay, Zok the Shach, Sivkon Ches, Yesh Lahata B'Diavad B'Makom Hefsed Beruba Afilu Im Basar, even with Basar, Kain Muchach Lahedi B'Teres Chatas, it's clear like that in the Teres Chatas, Tin Gimel, Aval, but Zok the Shach, Levado, to cook it by itself, to cook the Kechal by itself, Mutter al yedei kriya shesi ve'erev v'ticha b'kaisel, that would be permissible to do with the tearing of shesi ve'erev v'ticha b'kaisel. Afilu b'lo hefsed meruba, even without a hefsed meruba. Kerebuchach sham din beis, like it's clear in din beis, k'mash kasav ba'agah b'samach, like the Ramah is going to say soon. So Shach's just pointing out the Ramah's shita, that we're so machmer only to be mater b'diavad in a makom hefsed meruba is only talking about a case where you cooked it with other meat. You did shesi erev tichum guys, but you cooked it with other meat. If you do shesi erev tichum guys and you don't cook it with other meat, zakdach avadi, you could be mekel b'diavad without hefsed meruba, like we're going to see in the Ramah further. The das Maharshal, the opinion of the Maharshal Basar v'heter shaloi in his Sefer, B'sifra Yam Shel Shloima Perkel HaBasar Siman Mem Zayin Lahater B'diavad Im Basar Al Yidei Kriya Shesi Ve'erev Ticha B'kaisel Afilu B'lo Hefsed Meruba. The Maharshal has a very mekel opinion. He holds that B'diavad, if you did Kriya of Shesi Ve'erev Ticha B'kaisel, you B'diavad can be mekel even without a Hefsed Meruba. Again, not like what the Ramah is saying here. This is a very mekel, more mekel. The Abach Posak v'zalajaynai. The Bach Paskins v'im bishul shar basar v'ain shishim connected. Hakol aser af b'diavad. Everything's aser even b'diavad. Ilu karu shtesi ve'erev v'tav v'kaisel. And the Bach holds no. He's the opposite extreme. He holds it's never permissible. It's never, even in a hefsed meruba situation, it's never permissible. That's the Bach's opinion. Udeloi kagoy shulchan aruch to make ubezeb b'makom hefsed meruba. Not, and the Bach points out, not like I disagree with the shulchan with the Ramah. That's Mekel b'makom hefsed meruba. Says the Bach, no. Zok the Shach on all these three opinions, on all these opinions so far. V'lo yeraditi, and I didn't understand the Seif daito shel kol ha-poskim. I don't understand these poskim. Harif v'harambam, the Rif, the Rambam, Rabbi Tam, Teisvis, Rosh, Rashba, Ran, Smak, Goish Maimini, Mordechai, Shari Dura. The Shari Poiskim and the rest of the Poiskim, Mechaber, Mechlon, Shulchan Aruch included. Matirin, B'diavad, they all permit Shesi Ve'erev Tachum Kaisel with other meat, B'diavad. They already permit that, straight out. V'harbe mehem, and many of them, Matirin Afilu L'Chatchila, Afilu L'Das Rashi. Even according to Rashi, they're matter to be able to cook it with other pieces of meat if you did all this, the process of Shesi Ve'erev Tachum Kaisel. Elo, except Sherav Yov or Zarua, you have the Rav Yov or Zarua, Machmirin Afilu B'diavad. They're Machmir. Imkein Vada, says the Shach for sure. Dal Kol Ponim Yesh Lismach Al Kol Hanach Raboso. For sure, you could be Soymech on all these other Shainim. B'diavad B'makom Hefsed Meruba. In a situation of it's already was done and it's a Hefsed Meruba. Ubifrat, and specifically Be'isr the Rabbanon, where we're only the whole Isser here is only the Rabbanon. V'shegam sheposta the sugya mashma kavasayu, and it's also the case that the pashtas of the sugya seems to go like this mahala. So seriously, says the Shach, avada you can be soymech on the Ramah, avada you can be soymech the b'makom hefsed meruba. It should be okay. Continuing on, says the Taz. Aval b'lav ochiein lahat. Zok the Taz. Pirish beloy sifkat involved. Pirish beloy shisha. Avalim yesh shisha b'basar shebigdera b'kachal. If you have 60 in the kedera with the kachal, neged kachal, oz abasar mutar v'kachal asar kaponim. Then the meat is permissible. The kachal is asar kaponim. Kein pasuk atur b'shem Rashi. Kein kos b'teres chatas klal lamed. Okay. Weiter in Rabbi. And that which the minig is to tear and to cut it many times. Shesi ve'erev al penei kuloi. They do it many shesi ve'erevs, a bunch of ties going diagonal, cross, and this way, the height, width. All the if you're going to tear it a bunch of times, it's better, umahani yoiser, and it helps more, meiticha b'kaisel, than crushing the udder against the wall. It's better to cut it a bunch of times than to crush it against the wall. And this says the Shach Sivkot Das Mashanav Kosav the Kosav of Beis Yosef Al Shem Harajba Dimnosnu Tachas Amichbesh. You put it under a crusher. You put the kachal under some kind of a crushing machine. Have ketachu b'koisel, that's like crushing against the wall. Ad kan loshen teiras chatas shom did vov. Okay. Continuing on back in the Ramah. It says the Ramah. Now the Ramah is going through all of his opinions on the whole sugya of udders. Ulitzli. Regarding the din bait sli, roasting your kachal. Noihagim l'chatchilu l'koiroi shesi ve'erev v'tachum b'koi. So the Ramah's opinion is that really l'chatchilu what we should do for roasting a udder is it needs to be torn shesi erev and crushed against the wall. Miu, however, im avar, if a person went v'tzaloi and roasted afilu beloy kriya, even without any tearing, shari, then it is permissible. Okay. Now, this sounds like from the Ramah as a minhag. By the way, Shari im nitzla l'chud b'loy basar imay. Just to point out, the Ramah says if you went ahead and roasted it, even without tearing it, it's permissible if you roasted it without any other meat with it. Okay? So if you went ahead, you went ahead and roasted a udder without tearing it, it's permissible if you did it by itself. Okay. V'yim nitzla, says the Ramah, if it was roasted im basar imai with meat with it, im nikra shesi ve'erev, if it was torn, shesi, erev, v'tachu because it was crushed against the wall, shneihem mutarim, then it's permissible. V'yim lav, but if it was not done, if you did not do shesi ve'erev, ha'elyon mutter, the top one is mutter, v'hatachtoin osir, the bottom one is osir. Let's see the shach. Says the shach. Oh, let's see the top. Sorry, no. Let's see the shach. Sif koton yud in the shach. Ulitzli noyagin lechatchila. Umarshal shom posak. Marshal paskins the medina nami boy hachi lechatchila. That's not just a minhag to require by roasting the tearing of shesi ve'erev and tichel b'kaisel. It's the halacha that lechatchila yitaken this, not a minhag. So if you did it right, we said if you roasted it with other meat and you tore it shesi ve'erev, says the Ramah shneihem mutarim. Says the shach afilu yodua, even if it is known shenishavchu, that they flipped upside, they flipped on top of each other. The kivan shenikra shesi ve'erev v'tachu b'kaisel. So since you tore it and you crushed it against the wall, choshev kibasar mamish linyan zeh, it's considered like mamish basar. However, if you did not do the tearing, v'im lav, said the Ramah, the elyon is mutter, the tachton is osir. Okay, the elyon is mutter. Why is the elyon mutter and the tachton osir? So for this, the pshat kind of is okay. So the way the body explains it is since you didn't tear it shesi ve'erev and you didn't crush it against the wall, there lemaisa still is milk in the kechal. And if the kechal is above, then some of that milk will pour onto the basar under it and will aser it. And if the basar is above, right, so then some of the shuman, the fat of the basar, will spread onto the udder below it, and it will mix with the milk and it will aser it. That l'chayra is the pshat of it. Now, says the shach. Shach says, v'im lav ha'elyon, v'nira, in Yud Beis, di'im yodua, if it is known, sheshneim hayu tchuvim b'shava b'shpod, they're both equal to each other. V'lo haya shom echad mehen elyon etachton, neither one is above, neither one is below. They're next to each other. Shneihem mutarim, then it's not a problem. We're not concerned of the dripping one to the other. Zakt the Ramah, v'im lav elyon mutav tachton osir, v'ein lesser shneihem, and don't aser both of them. Shemon is hap, meaning if you have the elyon is mutter. The top one is mutter, the bottom one is a problem. Now, right. She says, and don't answer both of them, says the Ramal, Shem on his hapach hashpud, because maybe the spit will get flipped over, and that which is above will end up being below, and that which is below will end up being above. That could happen. B'diavad, we don't assume Isser situations. Aval, but says the Ramah, really, you shouldn't roast a kachal with meat on the same spit at all. If you did, we won't assume it's us. But the Maisa, we should be a little concerned. Okay. Now let's see the Shach. Aval lechatchila ein litzloisai Yud Gimel Hatam. What's the reason? Mishum sheshpudim shalanu, our spits munachim la'arkon are placed to the length. Upa'amim roish zeh l'maylo upa'amim zeh l'maylo. So the way our spits work, sometimes it happens that the way they are, at least in the times of the Shulchan Aruch or the Shach, the way they are, that sometimes it happens. It's possible to happen that it flips. So therefore, since that could happen, it's a possibility. I'm not sure exactly what the Metzias is, but there was some kind of a possibility for that. Therefore, the Ramah said to be machmir. Okay. Continuing on, ulekedeira, back in the Ramah, beloy basar, noyagim boy iser lechatchila. Now, what does this mean? Ulekedeira beloy basar, noyagim boy iser lechatchila. So, this, the Pashup Pshat is, means to say like this. Even l'chayra, to cook a kechal in a kedera, to cook it, to do bishul with an udder, without any other meat. Says the Ramah, we are noig not to do it l'chatchila. We are noig that it's also l'chatchila. And we're going to see in the Shach, even with tearing it shesi ve'erev and ticha b'kaisel, nonetheless, we're still machmer in the Ramah. And l'chayra, even though mina did, it should be mutter to cook it. If you tore it, kriya gemura, what's the reason to be naig l'chatchila? So in this, the Shach brings, we're going to see that there's a gzeira that you might come to cook it with other meat together. That we said that does not help. Even if you do kriya gemura, it doesn't help to cook it with other meat. Okay, so that is the chayra. What we're going to say here says the Ramah, l'kedera b'loy basar noyeg b'yisur l'chatchila. We are noyeg in isur l'chatchila. Says the Shach, noyeg in Yud Daled b'yisur l'chatchila afilu al yedei kriya shesi ve'erev ticha b'kaisel v'atamis bar b'sivkot chaval. We're going to see sivkot chaval, the yesod, that it's the gezerah shema yavayu levashel and basar yachad. You might come to cook it together with basar. Continuing on in the Ramah, v'hu adin l'tage nafilu b'loy basar. Same thing to fry it. V'yafilu nisiyave shakachal, even if the kachal dries out. Says the Shach, v'hu adin l'tagin mashenirsham b'shulchan aruch beis Yosef. What it says in the Shulchan Aruch lashon of beis Yosef, Ratza loymar. What does that mean? That beis Yosef mashva did tigun the bishul. Beis Yosef says tigun and bishul is the same thing. V'ur sham b'chi berzeh b'sif beis. Okay, therefore, my denoy agin b'artz seinu, that which we have the minig in our land, shaloi levash l'klal, not to cook it at all, afilu levada, even by itself, Hu adin latagna. Same thing would be to fry it. You shouldn't fry it. Aval vaday das beis Yosef behedja. Of course, the opinion of the beis Yosef is the bein bishul bein tigu neigin lechatul lavash levad. And the beis Yosef holds you can totally do it. Kamavur sham besif beis behedja, like it says in sif beis explicitly. So Lamaisa the Ramah is saying that tigun is the same thing as bishul, and bishul Lamaisa you shouldn't do, and even if it dries out, you shouldn't do it. Continuing on, Zok the Ramah in Avar Bishloi, if you did it, B'kedera Levade in a pot by itself, B'diyeved Mutar. B'diyeved it is permissible in Nikra Shesi Ve'erev. If it was torn, Shesi Ve'erev Etachu B'koisol, and it was crushed against the wall. Zogt the Shach Tezayin B'kedera Levade B'diyeved Beloy Shishim, even without Shishim. Avlam Loy Kar Shesi Ve'erev. If you didn't tear it, or like Teichel B'koisol, feel B'diyeved also Rachi Shishim B'mayim Neged HaKachal. You need to have 60 against it. Kachal and a minion, Kachal is included in the minion. Kain Kosav HaPaiskim. Okay, so if you went ahead, Zakta Ramah, V'mavro Bishle B'kedeira Levadoi, by itself, B'diavad Motor B'nigr Shesi V'erev V'tofu B'koisel, it's permissible. Miu Im Nisyavsha, but if it dried, Dahainu La'achar Shloshim Yom, after 30 days, Avru Bishle Afilu in Basar, even if you went and cooked it with Basar, Motor B'diavad is permissible. B'diavad. Says the Shach Yud Zayin Dahainu La'achar Lamed Yom Ainu Mistama, after 30 days, we could assume it dried out. Avli Chazinan, the Avesha He Mamish, but if we see that it is klar, dry, the Pshita Dafilu Taich Lamed Motor, even within 30, it's Motor. Motor B'diavad, Afilu B'loi Kriya Klal, Sham, even without any tearing. V'chol dinik pashtita yavesh shavedas marshal das Rabbi God. The marshal agrees with all the Ramaz on these things. Zulas mashakasav Rabbi God, except for what the Ramah says. V'yesh perushim v'chulu im lo nisyavsha chal v'chulu shenir midvar. It seems from the Ramah's opinion, that if it dries out, muter b'pashtida afil b'machvas, is permissible in a doughy dish, even in a frying pan. The marshal doesn't agree. He holds frying pan is even a problem with yavish. Let's read it inside the Ramah. Mium nisyavsha, if it got dried out. That means after 30 days. In Basar, even if you went and cooked it with Basar, that means, right? You went and cooked it with Basar, that it is muter bidi eved. It means even without tearing it, since it's dried out, it dries out all the milk. Okay? And to make, says the Ramah, to make some kind of a doughy filler with kechal beloy basar noigim by heter, we permit it. If you don't do it in a frying pan, but if you do it in a frying pan, then it's like bishul. Okay. All right. The yesh prushim machmir b'chol pashtida. There's people that are machmir. Any pashtida not to do. Unless the kachal dried out initially, then they can do it. But there are some that are machmir that we don't do this with pashtida at all, because we look at pashtida as bishul, and that would be a problem according to the Ramah. Okay. Zok the shach yotestina k'may bishul. Zok the shach. B'kedei v'ada kaimalam le'el Seif Siman ayin ches pashtida afil b'lei machvas yesh lo din bishul b'kedei, the pashtida has a din bishul. The ones that hold the year that pashtida doesn't have it, shiny the medina shari, because here really bad if it's mutter. El mishum gzeros, or it's only also al gzera. Mush kasavti b'sukan chafei aleph, like we're going to see soon. Okay, vada the machvas davko davidum medikteri yesh gzera. Only there's a gzera where it's like in a frying pan where it's similar to a pot. There's no reason to make a gezerah because this whole thing is anyways a gezerah v'chule. Shaloi lefes pashtira kachal and basar avavarim cholav medina asr, but to take the kachal and cook it with milk, it's for sure asr. Devare kachal basar gomerhu, it's for sure meat. And mafim cholav b'taner echad. Oh, this is the next step. Okay. Says the Ramav, Yesh machmir shaloi lefes pashtira kachal and basar b'taner katan. There are many shitas that are machmir not to cook pashtira, this doughy filler dish with kachal, in the same tanner as other meat, the tanner cotton in a small oven. Rak yesh laniach echad befia tanner. You could put it in the mouth of the tanner. In other words, we're worried here about the issue of reicha, of the smell of the one food coming into the other. The toiv lizar lechatchila. This din is good to be machran on the lechatchila level. Af kiena el chumra balma, even though it's just a chumra. So says the Shach, Shaloi lefes pashtira kachal basar avarim chol medina asr, for sure with milk, it's for sure asr. Devare kachal basar hu mafa mechal b'taner echad, it's kedin basar b'cholav, that's cooked in one tanner, that's a problem. Okay, but lamaisa, he's saying like this. He's saying that since the whole din over here is only anyways rabbinic, therefore it's only a chumrah not to cook the kachal with the pashtira with basar. That l'chayr is only a chumrah because the whole din over here of kachal is only rabbinic to begin with. Let's take a look at the Taz. V'im avru bishloi. Sorry, l'kader b'loi basar zayin naigin by yisr atamishim gezer shema yevashel and basar. You might come to cook it with meat u'b'loi kriya shesiv erev, and without tearing it shesiv erev. And if you went and you cooked it in a keder by itself, but yevid mutter, rashal, kasal perakal basar, so memzai near the asaf b'yevid, it's also even b'yevid, v'avshein minadin klal, even though it's not really minadin, because makom me'achshav kasal goyim denogu goyisol delem v'ashak chal klal. We don't cook chals at all. Have a kadaver shenesser minin. It's something that became asr. Became like almost like a minhag, a rabbinic thing that they answered. We come up with but by dry, you don't need to be machmir. And we will stop here. We'll continue on in the next year in Sif Gimel.